Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm the Sports Guru 716 and I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Spitting the Truth. Today I want to discuss the significance of the injury to Ryan O'Reilly and why it is not a reason for the Sabres fan base to fret or start to become concerned over. Because, see, I don't wish for injuries. Injuries are not something you want to see, and I hope Ryan O'Reilly has a very, very healthy recovery, um, and I hope he comes back just as good as he was before he left. Now, the reason why I don't think fans need to fret is because our team has been one of the worst teams, if not consistently the worst team over the last 3 years. And we know that because you see it on the ice with Sam Reinhart and Jack Eichel. You see these guys and you say to yourself, wow, Sam Reinhart and Jack Eichel are leading our team in goals. They're our two most potent players right now. And the reason that is because we lost to get them. And I'm not saying we need to lose, but this is why I don't really mind Ryan O'Reilly's injury, is because we are still last place in goals scored, essentially. We still have trouble putting the puck in the net, and that's a serious concern. I know Evander Kane really has not been as much as he was billed to be for how much we gave up. However, we need a guy that can put the puck in the net. We need a Jesse Puljujarvi or a Patrick Lane or a Matt Tkachuk or Alex Nylander. And I say all the guys except Austin Matthews because we know what Austin Matthews is, and we know over the last 2 years what it takes to get a guy like Austin Matthews, and we know that over the last 2 years we haven't gotten that guy. Now, don't get me wrong, Sam Reinhart and Jack Eichel are very good players. We see it night in and night out, and they were well worth their second overall billings. However, they're not Connor McDavid, and Aaron Ekblad is Aaron Ekblad. Aaron Ekblad's a very good player, future perennial all-star, and with a guy like Matthews or a Puljujarvi or a Lane, you have guys that can put the puck in the net. Now, Eichel and Reinhart can do that. You see all the fancy moves Eichel does to put the puck in the net. You see what Reinhart's capable of as a player that knows where to be at the right time to put the puck in the net. But we need a guy that can just take the puck when it's on his stick and shoot it into the net. He doesn't pull it out. You're just a pure sniper, a sharpshooter, a guy that can get the puck in the net. And I think Patrick Lane or Puljujarvi are those two options for us, the two Finns. And, you know, the reason why I'm talking about this is because I feel like some fans are going to think to themselves, well, I don't want to tank. We've been tanking the last 2 years. We need to try and win. And I understand that. I think we need to try and win too. I think this team needs to learn how to win. Because without learning how to win, like Dylan and I talked about on the podcast regarding the Bills, if you don't have players that know how to win, you're never going to win. And that doesn't mean that a team without any people that have won championships can't win. I'm saying that you need somebody to at least know what it takes to get that far. Get into the playoffs. You know, get a Stanley Cup. Get a Super Bowl, something like that. And you have a situation here where we're coming up to the trade deadline, and more than likely we're going to see Jamie McGinn, Mike Weber, and possibly David Legwand traded. And once again, this is the third or fourth year in a row where we are literally going to take our team and we're going to tear down at the deadline. And people are going to be like, why are you trading Jamie McGinn? He's so good. If he wants to come here, he'll come back like Molson did, like McCormick did, like other guys think they wanted to. And that's important. You can get a second-round pick for McGinn. And I think we also have to realize something. Based on what we've seen this year, if you've been watching the games, you've been paying attention, although we're still low in scoring, low in the standings, and frankly able to commit to a tank over the last 2 months of the season, we are better. Many games this year we have been in until the end. We've kept them close. We've kept them respectable, where years before we could barely get shots on net, let alone score goals and win hockey games. But this year we're getting shots on net. A lot of times we outshoot our opponents. Early in the season we were outshooting a ton of teams. And that was unheard of for us over the last couple of years. We had trouble just shooting the puck, getting it to the goalie, let alone in the back of the net. And with the team the way it is right now, we have potential to be great in a couple of years. And I think what we have to realize now is we have the chance to be great in a couple of years, but we're not going to be great today. And more teams are starting to realize this now, that if you know you're not in it, it's time to tear down. The quickest team to tear down when teams are close and towards the bottom of the standings, quickest team to tear down has the best chance at tanking to get that star player because they know they're not making the playoffs. Look at Toronto. They traded Matthias, Spalling, Phaneuf. They traded Polak. Like, they traded all these players, and they got good return, and they've gotten a head start, albeit a couple games over everybody else. But say they lose 2 more games than everybody else over this next couple months, and that puts them in last place. It was because they were able to get their players dealt quicker. And it's just a different mindset, I think, coming from somebody that is willing to tank. I'm well known, if you watch this video and you are with me in fantasy hockey and things, I'm in a dynasty league, and I tanked last year for McDavid. And this year, although, and I'll admit it openly right now, I did not want to tank for Matthews, but I knew my team was not good enough to compete in the playoffs or get into the playoffs. So I decided that I would commit to a second tank, knowing my team is better this year than it was last year. And I think that's what the Sabres need to do. They have to realize, looking at their team, it is better than it was last year. We have progress. Our team has got potential to be very good in a couple of years. And it's time to unload these guys. Plus, it doesn't hurt to see these young guys up here and get more time. We may see a guy like Chad Ruedel. We may see a guy like Jerome Leduc, Matt Donovan, Bob Sanguinetti. One of these guys are going to come up for Mike Weber, and we're going to see a guy that we've never seen before up here, with the exception of Ruedel. We've seen him before. And they're going to get an opportunity to see if they fit into the future plans of the Buffalo Sabres, and I'm interested to see that. You see O'Reilly's out and Justin Bailey comes out. And I'm watching Justin Bailey and I add him to my fantasy team. And it's not because I look at him and I think to myself, oh, he's going to score a goal today, which I did kind of think, like, oh my God, this player could score today, and I wouldn't be surprised. But he looks like an NHL player. He looked like an NHL player out there. And that is something that we need to check a lot of players with. You have guys like Tim Shaler down there that we know. Once David Legwand goes, honestly, I would be perfectly content having Tim Shaler fill David Legwand's role on this hockey team as the 4th-line center. And when Legwand goes, maybe we give it to Shaler, maybe we try somebody else. Will Carrier. Maybe you try a guy like Phil Veroni again. You've got players like that down there that you can bring up, give them an opportunity. Nick Baptiste, a winger. Just players that we can just roll up here, give them a couple games, of what the real NHL is like, see how they compare to their teammates, to the opposition, to determine where you're at least in prospects. Because you've got other teams like Toronto that are ready. William Nylander, Kasperi Kapanen, Morgan Riley, Nazem Kadri. Those players are going to lead Toronto in a couple years. And they're going to be in our division, and they're going to cause a lot of trouble. And a lot of people are talking about Steven Stamkos going to Toronto, Buffalo, Montreal. All 3 teams within his division, if he doesn't stay at Tampa Bay, also in the division. And, we've got a team. We got to impress people. Everybody's going to offer the same maximum money, so it's time to impress. And you got to impress be like, hey, Stamkos, next year we may not be as good. We'll be we're close to a playoff team. If not, we'll be on the bubble. But this is what we have going forward, and this is why you should sign a 5-year deal here, because we'll win a cup in that span. And you have to prove that to people, and I think that you have to prove that to the fans that the tank was worth it over the last couple of years, trading all these players for all these picks by actually bringing these players up from Rochester, albeit a little early, for a couple games to just be like, have Dunleavy or Rick Jenneret or Rob Ray talk about in the game. Oh, yeah, you've got a guy like Nick Baptiste. He was a pick of the Sabres a couple of years ago. This and this and this. Guys that we got with these picks that we traded, Ryan Miller, Steve Ott, Thomas Vanek, Jason Pominville for. You remember all those guys. Think to yourself, we traded all those guys for all those picks. Think all the way back to Paul Gausted. Doesn't seem that long ago, but that pick we used to get Zemgus Girgensons. And you see how well that turned out. So you just got to look back, and I think it'll help the fans support the Ryan O'Reilly injury more. Well, not support it. You don't support injuries. But be more content with the fact that our first-line center currently is hurt. Because we will have players in this position that we want them to be in the future. See how they are. Sam Reinhart is our first-line center right now. This is what he's supposed to be in the end. A very good two-way center, like O'Reilly, like a Taves, like a Kessler, and shut down. Well, here's your opportunity, albeit very young, and I don't expect a lot out of you, but I expect glimpses of something that we should see in the future. So, I really hope this Ryan O'Reilly situation works out. I hope he comes back with a recovery that is very healthy and he does very well after he comes back. But for now, I am more than content in losing the next 3 weeks if that is what the results are. I'd like to thank you for watching my Spittin' the Truth series. If you have any future ideas for me to talk about on my Spittin' the Truth series, comment below. Comment below what your opinions are on the Ryan O'Reilly injury and whether you think tanking for a 3rd year in a row is worth it. If not, post your reasoning and I will reply to it. Also, subscribe if you want to know when I will upload my future content, which I plan on uploading daily at best, and at worst every couple days. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon.